They Don't Come With a Manual. Written by Terry Lander. Produced by Ali Rogers.
There you are. It's all right. I've got her back to sleep.
Oh, thanks, Liz. I'm sorry.
For what?
Everything. I don't seem to be any help at all.
You know that's not true. Look, it's all new to me too. We're both trying to blindly navigate this.
It's been a month. You'd have thought I'd been able to do something right by now.
It's only been a month. Our daughter is a month old. Nobody gets it right straight away.
But nobody gets it wrong the first 100 times either. I thought it would be easier by now. Not necessarily a doddle, but a little easier at least.
I don't think there's such a thing as easy when it comes to children. Don't worry. Only another 95 months until she's 18.
Oh, don't. Am I going to be worrying like this the whole time?
I have no idea. Am I going to be worrying like this too? Nobody knows.
You seem so calm, so with it. How'd you do it?
Do what? Lie to your faces?
What are you talking about?
It's an act. Half of the battle is acting calm when inside you're screaming as much as she is. If you can be calm, she will be too.
I've tried. The deep breathing, imagining the ocean, chants and mantras. As soon as I go back into that room and the lungs are on the go, I panic. I try to get everything done as quickly as possible.
Maybe that's the problem.
Remember the prenatal groups? That woman walking around the circle of future parents, getting us to breathe in and breathe out, and in and out. What she should have done was put on the opening scene to Saving Private Ryan in the background to make it more realistic.
I know exactly where you're coming from, Ben.
So how'd you do it? You look like the commanding officer, giving out orders to your men on the beach while sipping a coffee and nibbling a scone. The only difference is, you look like you're doing it from behind bulletproof glass.
Like I said, it's all an act. When you're in there, take one thing at a time, and once you're done, you can leave the room and cry yourself into a stupor in the corner. Just don't let her see you doing it.
Because she'll think that that's what she's meant to do.
That's the way I look at it. If I was in a room full of 50 people screaming and wailing, I definitely want to join in, just in case there's somebody outside looking at the group and wondering why you're acting differently.
How do you know when you've finished, though?
What do you mean?
Well, you run through the checklist. Is she hungry? Has she soiled herself? Have I soiled myself? Does she have wind? Is she frightened? How do you know when you've done everything?
The midwife told me that it changes as they get older. That's the bad news. New things will be added to the list until finally you can add boredom. Yes, she's going to wail and screech because she's bored eventually. Do you remember what you said to me that first night we brought her home, though?
It seems so long ago. I don't remember a time when there wasn't screaming in the background.
That thing that Dave said in the pub.
Oh, that we've created a machine that eats, sleeps and...
That's the one. There's your list. Like you said, you can add wind to that, but generally, if she's awake, she's either hungry or dirty. She'll go back to sleep once you've sorted those things out. If she's still crying, leave her for 10 minutes and get yourself a cup of tea. Then go in and start all over again.
Easier said than done. What if she bursts a blood vessel through crying? What if she rolls out of the cot and breaks her leg?
At her age, she definitely won't roll out of the cot. Just don't leave her on the changing table. But if you stand holding her, your heart pounding and your nerves firing, she'll feel it and wonder what's out there to be afraid of.
So I drink a cup of tea and then go back into her.
Nice try. You make a cup of tea before going back in. Guaranteed it'll be cold by the time you come to drink it, yet you'll get a break to be yourself and think about things for 10 minutes.
I've had iced coffee before, but iced tea with milk and 2 sugars? I don't think Starbucks will be after me for the recipe.
Trust me.
And what about the cluster?
Are you talking about the skin that forms on top of your tea? You don't have to leave it that long.
No, the cluster... where you going and there's effluence up the walls, she's starving, full of wind and doesn't mind letting Gillian in number 50 know about it.
Deep, healing breaths.
I ought to try that at work when I go back. See how much it clears up.
Just take a couple. Close your eyes and then take one thing at a time. Obviously, my walls are the most important thing.
Obviously.
So clean that up first, and then tackle the next thing. She won't eat if she's covered in it anyway. Once she's clean, bottle and burp, there can't be much else wrong with her.
I'd like to politely disagree. Only last week I managed to get all of this done within about 15 minutes of hell and was sure there was nothing else. I tried to put her down, but she wouldn't let me go. She was wailing like a good 'un. What's the diagnosis, Dr. Liz?
Last week, when we all had a cold,
Yes.
I was sneaking her medication. I checked the bottle and gave her the correct dose. That infant cold medicine is a miracle, I can tell you.
So why didn't you tell me?
Because you were asleep. Colds are a miracle to you. I can't even stir you when you're feeling like that.
Probably why I feel so tired now.
And because it's 4 a.m.
Can I be honest about something?
Of course.
Do you remember me telling you what our old next-door neighbour William said? That when they're crying relentlessly and you're completely deprived of sleep, you could very easily chuck them out of the window and be done with them?
I remember, yes.
That's exactly how I felt. I would never let her come to any harm, but I could quite happily have left her in the cot and walked away for good, nipped off into the distance and been away without a second thought.
Really?
Yes. I'm so sorry, Liz. I couldn't live without you, I promise. It's just that when the lack of sleep takes hold, it's like an ogre. An all-encompassing beast that takes away your decision-making. I didn't believe what William was saying until earlier. That's why I had to leave and come out here, where I couldn't hear her.
Would you like to hear my confession?
Sure.
I felt exactly the same. I was trying to remember the numbers for local taxis, thinking that if I found one that would come at this ridiculous hour, I could put her in the back and she'd be gone, even if it was just for a few hours. Then I could get back to some kind of normality and perhaps give a bit of effort to being a mum. At the moment I worry about falling asleep on top of her or passing out and banging my head.
Yeah, I've had those thoughts too. Vivid dreams of being knocked unconscious and then drifting off into the abyss forever.
The joy of sleep deprivation, yearning for that final slumber well before we should be ready.
Yeah, that's a disturbing thought.
As long as we look out for each other and are honest, then we'll get through. Perhaps if we take it in shifts, things will be easier.
Well, that sounds like a really good idea. Why didn't anyone suggest that when she was born?
It's all things you have to work out along the way. They can't tell us how to live our lives. We have to figure it out. They'd still be here now if they had to brief us on every element of childcare.
True.
I'll speak to my mum about taking her so we can have a night off together. That'll give us a chance to reconnect. That said, we're going to have to get used to her being the centre of our world for the time being.
She is. That's the hardest part. I wouldn't wish her gone for good. We wanted her and she's perfect. It's not her fault by any means. I just wish I could sleep when she does.
Does your brain wake up the second her head hits the pillow?
Every time. I also think about the 1,000,001 jobs we now have to do in between feeds and changes, sterilising bottles and washing nappies. Things I never considered would be an entirely new workload.
They don't come with a manual, but they do come with accessories.
All sold separately, of course.
The batteries are included, though.
The longest-lasting batteries ever produced. How is she now?
She's fine. I managed to get her back to sleep. I think she's entered the inquisitive phase, wanting to know what we're all up to all of the time. I think our days of poor, broken sleep are about to be replaced by no sleep at all.
Oh, great news! I have a lot of guilt for feeling this way. I know there are hundreds, maybe thousands of parents out there who would do anything to be in our position. Some wait months or years before being able to hold their beautiful offspring. And yet here we are, with a baby who came instantly, struggling to cope without a bit of sleep.
A lot of sleep.
Yeah.
Your guilt won't help them to conceive. You know that, don't you?
Of course.
So don't hold on to those thoughts too tightly. We've been blessed with this little miracle, and all we can do is take care of her to the best of our ability. You're a great dad. You've already proven that. Hold on to the times you enjoy and let go of the struggles. You're the greatest train constructor your daughter has ever seen, and nothing can change that.
You're not wrong there.
We'd best get back inside and see how she's doing. I'll take the first watch if you like, and you can get some rest.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
Liz was played by Helen Rule. Ben was played by Kevin Dodds.